my name's Teresa, and this is my channel, Homestead Life. Welcome to my kitchen. Tonight we're going to be making brownies. Not just any brownies, but I like to call these supernatural brownies. These are just the most amazing brownies I think I've ever made. I love this recipe. It's not too difficult, so join me on my journey and let's see how these turn out. The first thing we're going to do is start with 2 sticks of butter that we're going to go ahead and put in a microwave safe dish or bowl. We're going to be melting this butter because this is how we're going to melt our chocolate. So let's get this in this big bowl. This may look like a big bowl, but we're going to be putting some chocolate in there. You can use chocolate chips if you like, but my favorite thing to use is Ghirardelli semi-sweet chocolate bars. So we're going to be chopping that up. While we're doing that, I'm going to take this and put this in the microwave for just a moment. We want it to be melted completely. In the meantime, we're going to take our semi-sweet baking chocolate and we are going to open this up. We're going to want a total of 8 ounces. These are 4-ounce bars, so there's going to be 2 of them. We're going to kind of chop them up. We want to make sure that they're kind of a smaller consistency so that when we put it in the melted butter, the heat of the melted butter will actually melt the chocolate as well. So it always reminds me of like a Willy Wonka bar when I open these. And open that one. And then this one smells good. I had to wait till this evening to actually do the brownies just because it's been really hot here in Texas. We've been in the hundreds. So who wants to bake when it's 100 degrees out, right? Okay, we're just gonna kind of chop this up, give it a rough chop first. Then I'll go back and get a little bit of a finer chop. Obviously, the smaller you get it, the easier it will be to melt in the butter. You can also do this over a double boiler, but I think that this is just the easier way to do it. And the double boiler method would basically be taking a glass bowl, kind of like what we have in the microwave, putting it over a few inches of boiling water and using the steam to actually melt everything. This is just as easy, and you're making a little bit less mess because you're not having to go on the oven or the stove and the oven at the same time. I do have the oven heating to 350 degrees. It's already heated up because I had just finished dinner. And I will check the butter here in just a second. I want to just finish up this chocolate. With as hot as it's been outside, I'm sure I could have probably just let this sit outside in a bowl and it would have melted on its own. Today's temperature was 103 degrees. It feels like a temperature of 115 to 118, depending on which part of the area you're in. So it's been a little warm. Let's check. As you can see, the chocolate's already melting in my hand. Let's check and see. Ooh, we have nice melted butter. Perfect. As you can see, the butter is perfectly melted. I'm going to rinse my hand really quick. And I'm just going to kind of take and scoop this in. I'm going to use my pastry in here. Pastry cutter and dough cutter. Just to make it a little bit easier. Scoop up all this chocolatey goodness. Okay, that's all we needed the knife for. Okay. Take a second and set this aside. You no longer need that. And we're going to go ahead and kind of whisk this together. As you can see, it's already starting to melt. And it won't take long to actually melt the whole entire thing. Just keep whisking it kind of together. And if for some reason it didn't quite melt or it didn't get quite hot enough, you can put it back in the microwave for 15 to 30 seconds to just get it nice and melty. As well as smelling really, really good. Okay, so now I'm going to put this aside and we're going to go ahead and grab a different bowl because we're going to need to put everything all together here. And we are going to mix 4 eggs along with our dark brown sugar. Now we're going to need 1 cup of firmly packed dark brown sugar and 4 eggs. So I'm going to start with the 4 eggs. And I'm going to just crack them into the bowl here. Nice and messy. Okay, there's our 4 eggs. And I didn't really have a smaller bowl, so we get to use this one. Okay, now we're going to have 1 cup of firmly packed brown sugar and also 1 cup of granulated sugar. I knew I was missing something here. We're going to do 1 cup of regular sugar. And then I'm going to get 1 cup of firmly packed brown sugar. And I haven't made brownies in a while, so I'm having to double check my recipe. And we're going to do our firmly packed brown sugar. Need some more. Okay. As you can see, I've got this very firmly packed, but we're going to take the top here, just scrape it off. Okay. Put that in there. Again, I'm going to rinse my hands. It's Father's Day weekend. Father's Day is tomorrow. So everybody here in Texas, fireworks for every single celebration there could be known to man, including Father's Day. So my poor doggies are having to listen to fireworks going off, and it's just getting them a little riled up. But, okay, so we've got this all mixed together. And we're going to also put a 1/4 teaspoon salt, or like I call it, a pinch of salt. When I'm baking, I do measure. If I'm cooking, I eyeball it. But I do measure when I'm baking, just because baking measurements are a lot more precise. Otherwise, recipes have a tendency not to turn out. I've learned that the hard way. Then we're going to do 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Stay. One of these days I'm going to get around to making some homemade, but this is some really good stuff from Mexico. Really yummy. Okay. Gonna mix this. And then we're going to end up adding a cup of all-purpose flour. And we're not going to pack that. We're just going to do that kind of, let me get a new one here. Guys, come on. It never fails. Whenever I try to do something, they like to be vocal, but especially tonight. Okay. We're just going to kind of spoon the flour into here because we really don't want it to be packed at all. We want it to be nice and loose. This is one of the little tricks. And once we get to the top, like we are here, we're going to take our knife and just level it off. Okay. And then we're going to sprinkle this in and stir and get this all mixed in. And once this is all incorporated, then we are going to add in our chocolate mixture, and we will then get our pan ready. It almost looks like caramel, but it's not. Okay, smells really yummy. Okay, now we have this. We are going to, I'm going to put the lid back on. At least I'll just kind of, there we go. These lids fit really tightly, which is nice. Here in Texas, we have a lot of humidity, so I like to make sure none of my baking goods get spoiled. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and pour in our chocolate mixture. I'll probably use my spatula. Try to get as much of this chocolatey goodness out as we can. Okay. Put that to the side. I'm going to switch spatula or switch things here so that I can use this one because this one works a lot better. The other one was a little small. I'm going to mix this all together. Looking good. Okay. You want to try to scrape the sides to get as much of everything as possible. Make sure it's very well incorporated, which it looks like it is. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes because of the refraction of the light, but it looks good. So I'm going to put this off to the side for just a moment so we can go ahead and get our pan prepared. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of these Pyrex. What are these? This is a 13 by 9. I don't remember what they're called. And we're going to line it with parchment paper. One of the tricks to lining things with parchment paper is crumple up your parchment paper first because it's going to fit in there. Have you ever tried to put parchment paper in something and it just kind of goes sideways and doesn't want to stay? This is the best way to do it. What I do is then line this a little bit so I've kind of got an idea. Okay. Now I'm going to take some spray. This is just some avocado spray. And spray it down in here. Put my parchment paper back in. And that's going to help it kind of stay just a little bit. Usually. Okay. Now I'm going to spray the parchment paper as well. Not have. There we go. Alright. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and transfer this into our lined baking dish after I get all this goodies off here. Because it's a little bit easier when you're using your spatula versus using your whisk. Okay, let's pour this in. You can already tell it's got a very fudge-like consistency. It's firming up just a little bit, which is good. That's because the butter is starting to set up some. You'll notice I don't have any baking powders or anything of that nature in this. That's part of the trick that makes this absolutely yummy. Okay, now that we've got that, I'm gonna try to scrape any excess out of here and resist the temptation to just have that as a snack. We're gonna level this out. Perfect. Yay. And then we are going to place this in the preheated oven, about 45 minutes or so. I'll check on it about after 30 minutes. Let's take all this off with the knife. So I like to try to get as much of the batter as possible. This stuff is gold. All right, let's go ahead and get this in the oven. Set our timer for 45 minutes. Okay, now it's in the oven and we'll be back in 45 minutes. All right, it's been 45 minutes, so we're gonna grab those brownies out of the oven and we're gonna put them on this wire rack to cool. Once they're completely cooled, then we'll take them out and cut them. So let's get them out of the oven. You'll see that on the top here we have a nice kind of crust and it's kind of shiny. So we're gonna let this sit and cool for a good few hours or so. I'll probably let it cool overnight. It's getting a little bit late and then I will check it later. And we'll be back once it's cooled and I'll show you what these look like. Good morning, it is the next day and we have let these cool overnight. So, just to show you a little bit of what we're looking at here. Now we're gonna go ahead and take these out and cut them up. And really easily, they pop right out of the pan. We're gonna just take these apart like this. And we're just gonna slice these up. They smell delicious. They didn't get too hard or anything being out last night, so that's perfect. And I'm not going to be perfect about how they're cut. I'm just cutting them because I know they're not going to last long in our house. So, okay. Now you can always cut around the edges so that they look nice and uniform. I'm someone who would just much rather just slice into the brownie and have it be what it is. I like the crunchy edges, some people don't. All right, now that we're all cut here, let's go ahead and grab a plate. And we're just going to arrange them on the plate so that we have some brownies here, stacking them up just a little bit for show. Like I said, these are not going to last long in my house. I'm going to assume that if they're here by the end of the day, that will be an amazing thing. Here we are. And these are absolutely yummy. I'm not gonna try, I guess I will try just a little bit this morning. Brownies for breakfast. I'm just gonna cut off just a little piece because I haven't eaten breakfast yet. All right, let's try this. It's just a little teeny tiny piece. I just don't want to spoil my breakfast. It is Father's Day and I'm waiting for my husband. We're gonna go out and have a nice Father's Day brunch. So don't want to spoil the brunch, but I'm gonna go ahead and try these brownies. really good. Chocolatey, velvety, smooth, amazing. One of the ways that I like to serve these is take it and pop it in the microwave for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then put a scoop of vanilla ice cream or French vanilla ice cream or even vanilla bean ice cream on the top, and it makes an amazing dessert. Thank you for joining me as we made these brownies, and I appreciate the time you spent with me watching this video. If you have any comments, suggestions, or anything, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Thank you for watching and spending time with me today. I hope to see you again soon.